welcome back to the channel. It's me, Surya, your favorite sewing friend. So today I'm chatting to you about this ruffle sleeve top that I made. It's by In The Folds and it's a free PDF download via the Peppermint magazine website. This pattern is super easy to follow and I think it's definitely beginner friendly. It uses French seams and I've done French seams before, but this is the first. I couldn't remember really how to do it, so this was a really good refresher for me. So as I mentioned, this is a free PDF download, and this is the first time that I've used an indie pattern before, so this is my very first impression of what indie patterns have to offer. I found the instructions to be very detailed and really user-friendly, so if you're a beginner starting out to make clothes and learn how to sew, then this pattern is very, very beginner-friendly. You also don't need an overlocker because it's all done by French seams. So to start making this top, I had a mini sewing day or a mini prep day with my friend Sophie, and I just went over to her house and started prepping the pattern pretty much, because when you print out a PDF pattern, if you're not going to the copy shop to print it out in A3 form, then you'll end up printing it out in A4 pages, which you then have to tile together, stick together, and then cut out to get your pattern pieces. So I spent a little bit of time doing that at my friend's house, killing two birds with one stone, prepping a pattern, and then also chatting to her and catching up. So then the next day I started prepping the pattern, and this is where I say, read the instructions first. Always read the instructions. I don't know why I keep doing this, but I keep jumping to conclusions and just going ahead and thinking about making something my own way, or just assuming that the instructions will be exactly how I thought they were going to be. And then, yeah, it all turns out wrong. So then, thanks to me jumping to conclusions, I then, halfway through making the sample, realized that I was making it assuming that it was going to be for an overlocked method, where you overlock all the pattern pieces first and then you sew it together. And then, yeah, I just didn't realize that it was French seams. So here I am prepping my pattern pieces like a dumb with overlocking. And then after I sewed and stay stitched the neckline and the armholes, did I realize that it was meant to be French themed after I started reading the instructions, which I should have done beforehand. So anyway, after that hiccup, I just went ahead and finished the sample as if it was meant to be overlocked. But in retrospect, I could have just made it with French seams. Like I could have just made the sample with French seams anyway as a practice run. But I don't know, I just feel like I was too far gone. I had spent all that time overlocking everything, so I was like, I'm not gonna let this go. So I just continued sewing it like it was meant to be overlocked, but then made myself more confused with the instructions. I know what you're thinking. You're like, if this is just a sample, then why are you overlocking everything as if it's going to be a finished garment? And the answer is for practice, because I feel like practice makes perfect and I'm still learning, so if I just keep making everything like it's meant to be the finished sample, then like the finished garment, then that will give me more thought, or like make me not make as many mistakes, hopefully, or just, I don't know, pay more attention to what I'm doing. But also because I have too many fabrics that I don't care about anymore. So I spent like a lot of time hoarding fabrics because they were on sale, but they don't necessarily fit my aesthetic anymore. So I'm trying to like run through them and get rid of them. But also on the off chance, I still like these fabrics. So in the off chance that my sample does turn out wearable, then I've got a finished garment, so I can wear it. And it's like not that bad. So there are a few hiccups along the way doing this sample, like when the facing didn't match the bodice because I didn't cut out the pattern piece right. So funny thing, I was attaching the facing to the bodice and was like, why is the back neckline not lining up? And it's because I accidentally did not trim off some of the pattern piece. So it's got like 3 centimeters worth of pattern that I did not trim off against the center fold. So what I did to fix that was first I corrected the pattern, and then I just cut down the back of the facing because it's 3 centimeters and just did a seam allowance of, sewed it back together, seam allowance 1.5. So should work now and actually fit. But this is another reason why we do samples, because if I had done this on the real thing, oh my god, I would have been so sad. But yeah, I'm just gonna overlock this now because it's all raw. Right, pinned it. I think this should do. Fingers crossed it works. I think it's a little bit out here. And then there was the time that I was wrestling with the sleeves and couldn't get them to gather properly. Oh, and I know why it's not working. It's because I've used a normal stitch length and not a super long stitch length. Right, I'm gonna do this again. Right, just going to set this to a longer stitch length. Okay, so I think that's about partially gathered, sort of curved-ish gathered. And then I inserted the sleeves all weird, although now that I think about it, it's probably because I got confused by the French seam method, but I was still in overlocking mode, so it just turned out backwards. Pinning sleeves is always a trial. I think I did it right. I'll do one sleeve first, and then yeah. No, definitely did that wrong. Gonna have to unpick that. Oops. But I got there in the end. So that's all that matters, really. So the first sample I made for this pattern was quite large. I was a size D. And I know the pattern is meant to run large, but I feel like because it's so boxy, you can size down. So I went down to a C, and when I made the real thing, that seemed to work out fine. So I made the real top in this white linen that I got from Spotlight. If I remember correctly, I think it was only like $11.99 a meter. I may have got it on sale, but I can't remember. I think you need about 2.5 meters of fabric. So overall, sizing down to a size C was a good idea because you still get the drape and the boxy feel, but it's not as oversized and like you don't feel like you're swimming in it. I'm not sure if it's because I may have lost weight in between the time that I measured myself and the time that I cut out the pattern. I highly doubt that. So I'm pretty sure it just runs large, but you know, I didn't really mind the large running size. I think also the sample fabric that I was using was pretty stiff, so it may have made it look boxier than it needed to be, but even when I sized down and I used a softer linen fabric, it worked out better, I think. If I was to make any further alterations to this pattern, I think I would possibly move the bust dart upwards because it's sitting a bit low on me. It doesn't really make a difference for me, it looks fine, but I think in retrospect, if I wanted to be a bit more of a perfectionist, I probably would do a bust adjustment and just move the bust dart upwards a little. So after making this sample twice, the sample and then the real top, I decided that it would look really cute as a dress. So I've always wanted like an oversized sleeve dress or dress with sleeves, because during the springtime or during those cooler months, but it's starting to get a little bit warm, but it's not warm enough to go sleeveless. It's like, but you want to wear a dress, so why not add sleeves to everything? So that's what I did. I pretty much just added a skirt to this top, and I made it a midi length, and I gathered it quite a bit. I made the skirt maybe about the length of this top, or the width of this top hem, and then added another 30 centimeters to it, or a bit more, so I could gather the fabric up. So it makes it look extremely billowy and very like I'm just walking around with a giant cloud around me. The dress is there. The dress turned out pretty good. I think it makes me look like a very fashionable peasant. So I'm pretty into it. I think I'm gonna wear it with a straw hat and a straw bag and sandals and straw everything. It's gonna be great. And I also added pockets to this dress, although I did have a measuring fail where I thought that the pockets were gonna be lower than they actually needed to be. So I have to bend a little, or like I'm a little like like lopsided a little and put my hands in my pockets. So disappointing. But also I learned how to do, I French seamed the side seams to make the pockets go in. And now I'm thinking about moving the pockets upwards, but unpicking that and doing it all again is, I don't know. I don't know if I have the time and patience to do it. I probably might do it if I have a bit of time to try to figure out how to fix it. But the pockets aren't that low. I can still put my hands in my pockets without looking completely comical. But we'll see. So that is my review of the ruffle sleeve top. It's really simple, easy to make top. I really liked it. I really enjoyed the instructions. They were very clear. I highly recommend it to anyone who's a beginner sewer and they want to get into sewing and make something pretty practical and useful to wear all the time, because it's just so easy and breezy to wear. It's also a really good top if you want to wear it to work as well as casually, because it's very modest and easy to throw on. The only thing that I found difficult about making this top was possibly the French seams. It just takes a little while to wrap your head around how to do French seams, especially when you come from just overlocking everything and just sewing. French seams is like, you know, sew on the right side, trim it, sew on the other side, enclose the casing, all that kind of stuff. So it took me a while for my brain to sort of start working, because it just takes so long for it to work in general. But yeah, like if I can do it, you can do it. It's fine. I found it really useful. Now that I know that everything about French seaming, yeah, just gonna French seam everything, because it's so nice. Everything's so clean when you do French seams. So if you're really finding that you're struggling with French seams, my trick to fix that confusion was just to practice on scrap pieces of paper, pieces of fabric before you did anything on the real garment. So if you looked at the instructions and it said like a bunch of things to do with French seams and you were like, what? Just get some scrap fabric and just do exactly as what they tell you to on the scrap fabric, and you'll see how it's meant to work. I found that really useful. So hopefully if you do that method too and just practice on scraps first, then it will make it a lot easier when you come to doing the real thing. So I hope this blog has been of some use to you. I've seen a lot of people on Instagram making this top, and a lot of hacks on this top as well. It's very inspiring. So I hope that you can scroll through all the Instagram pictures of this ruffle sleeve top and then have a look at see what other people have done, and yeah, hopefully you make one too. So as always, if you want to follow along with me on my sewing journey, hit that subscribe button below, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye!